sports interviews, commentary, and scores from Friday night as we talk local sports of all sorts. Join us as we're talking sports, presented by McMahon's Best One Tire and Auto Care, right here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
My name is Ariel. When I arrived in the U.S. at 19, I struggled to find job opportunities without my high school diploma. My entire life changed when I took a chance and got my high school diploma at age 22. Everything I have, my education, my career, my marriage, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and my teachers. They were with me every step of the way, helping with my English and math, making sure I push through all the challenges.
Ariel, your success proves that what I'm doing as a teacher has real meaning.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
Education was the key that unlocked all my opportunities.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Live from the Hoopy Insurance Services Studios, this is WKJG 1380 AM, 100.9 FM, The Fan, Fort Wayne, Indiana. This is a presentation of high school sports on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. The Hoopy Fieldhouse High School Coaches Show. Learn more about the Hoopy Fieldhouse, now available to schedule practice times for your league or team at hoopyfieldhouse.com. Now here's your host, Justin Kenny.
Good evening and welcome into the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopy Fieldhouse. I am Justin Kenny here talking area high school basketball as we kind of zero in on the end of the high school basketball season, just a couple weeks away from the state championship game of the boys side of things. We had the girls basketball state championship this past weekend. We'll talk about that, break that down here with our buddy Dan Vance from Outside the Huddle in just a couple seconds. We'll also play an interview from earlier this week. Mark Pixley, the winning coach of the Class 2A state championship game, with Bishop Luers getting the win over Brownstown Central. So we'll replay an interview from the Sports Rush from earlier this week. Second half of the hour, we'll switch to boys basketball and sectional semifinals across the state coming up tomorrow. A couple teams in action will include Concordia. We'll talk to head coach Phil Brackmann. And then we'll end the show, Anthony Brewer, head basketball coach with the Wayne Generals, as both Concordia and Wayne with eyes on potential sectional crowns coming up on Saturday evening. Let's jump right into it and talk to Dan Vance from Outside the Huddle. Evening, Dan.
Hey, how's it going, Justin?
Doing too good. We're doing pretty good over here off Maples Road. And Dan, let's start with these state championships from last Saturday on the girls' side. Let's talk about the good side of things first. In terms of Bishop Luers, they win their 7th state championship, and it had been a dozen years since they had been there. And Luers gets the win 44-36 over Brownstown Central. What stood out to you about this game?
Well, I think that, and we talked about it a little bit last week in a preview, the depth of Bishop Luers and being able to, spread it out. Addie Shank was not big scoring in this game, but she was so substantial in other ways. And when you have your best player like that, not scoring in a game like this, to have everybody else step up. And Annika Davis did a great job, as she's done all year. And Miley Waring, who's one of the best breakout players in the area, was tremendous in the state finals. So to be able to have that depth that not a lot of teams can draw in the postseason, not a lot of teams, get to that point with their rosters during the regular season. They can have them so deep come the postseason. But Luers did that really well, and it's not just seniors. It's other players that contributed, which I think is one of the things that makes this win so important for that Luers legacy. Everybody expects them to be state contenders, even though they hadn't been in some time. But now you're really building that up, not only success for this year, but a team that can really have positive momentum next year off a state championship, because they don't really graduate that much. A lot of the number one options, sure, but as far as the actual numbers, they're going to bring more girls back than they lose.
If anybody would have told you Addie Shank was going to score 6 points in this game and Bishop Luers was going to win a state championship, would you have believed him?
It's hard. It's hard because her offense is so critical, and very rarely do you see her score single digits. A good night for Addie Shank, she's going to give you in the 20s, and on a bad night, most of the time she's going to give you 11 to 12. So that 6 points is a lot to overcome, as much as it may seem like a little to lose at least 6 points off what you expect out of Addie Shank on her worst night. And she didn't even have a bad night. I just thought that they did a very good job to defend her, make her work for what she got, which made her baskets even more impressive. So, yeah, I definitely would have thought that they would have the advantage. But, again, just other girls stepping up. And, if you're the head coach of any program, that's what you want in February is other players stepping up if a team has keyed in successfully on your star.
How cool. We'll hear from Mark Pixley here in a little bit, but to me, it was cool to see Mark get a state championship because we've seen the history that coaches have had at Bishop Luers, and you go back, with Denny Rainier, you go back with Terry Rosinski, and before that, Gary Andrews, and all of those guys and girls won state championships with Bishop Luers. Gary, when you look at the current coach, Mark Pixley, there for 11 years, hadn't been able to get over that hump. One of the good guys that we deal with every year, and for him to win a state championship, it felt, at least for me, really cool for him to get one.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And, I talked to somebody earlier in the week about one of my favorite things about state finals is getting to see some of these guys who are really good guys that we deal with that are, great interviews, great to be personable with when you're not recording them. Like, they're really good guys. And we saw two of that with Eric Thornton and Mark Pixley. That's one of the best things about the state finals for me, was to see two good guys like that. And Mark Pixley, he's had success, but just hadn't gotten to that spot. So you love it for him. And he's got two of the most difficult to attain titles, I think, in Northeast Indiana now. He's a state champion coach. And, up until now, their marquee kind of under him was they were the team most likely to beat Homestead those first 6 years in the SAC on the girls' side. And that was impossible until they did it in the SAC Holiday Tournament. So, that was a big title to have at that point. Might have been harder to do that than win a state title in some ways. So to have both of those now, you got to love it for Mark. He's done a tremendous job there, and will continue to.
Dan Vance, Outside the Huddle, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopie Fieldhouse. Let's talk about Coach Eric Thornton and the Norwell Knights falling 63-60 to Gibson Southern. It was a very impressive performance by Gibson Southern. They led by as many as 19 midway through the third quarter before Norwell climbed back. They were able to get close, never led in this game. They tied it. But what was the difference in this one in terms of how this game went?
It was the energy level. And not to say that Norwell was short on energy, because I don't know if I've ever seen a Norwell girls team play without energy, but Gibson Southern just did a tremendous job from the get-go. They dictated the pace. Very difficult to do. Norwell, and you know this, Justin, you covered Norwell for a very long time as well under Eric Thornton. You can't dictate their pace very easily. It's not something that many teams have success in because Norwell just runs – their offense is so unique and fluid and different than what so many other teams do. It's hard to dictate a pace against them. And Gibson Southern did a really good job of controlling that tempo early on. But then it also shows in Norwell's comeback that, and I think it's probably something that frustrates them after that game as players and coaches is we were so much better in this spurt. Imagine what we could have done if we could have found that notch earlier. I think if Norwell finds that notch in the first half, they win the game. And they win it probably rather easily just because that run to get back from being down, 17 or 19 points was so dominant from Norwell that you kind of got to be frustrated for them that they didn't find it earlier. But at the end of the day, the last shot was Kennedy Filling. It was a great look. That's who you want taking that shot. If you're Norwell, if you're pretty much anybody else, that's who you want taking that shot. So you got the look. So you got to have a little bit of, feel a little bit better on the fact that you got the look you needed at the end. It just didn't fall.
I don't know if I've ever seen a team, Dan, win a game with 25 turnovers, which is what Gibson Southern had. Norwell had 13. Okay, that's kind of high. Gibson Southern turned the ball over 25 times and won this game.
Shows you how good Norwell is defensively, and it also shows you how dominant that run was, is that Norwell is just so phenomenal. It took Gibson Southern to be out of this world against Norwell. But they were able to achieve that. And so, kudos to them because it's not an easy place to get to against a team like Norwell.
Yeah, Chloe Graham was deadly, hit 20, or finished with 22 points, hit 6 threes for Gibson Southern. When we look at this Norwell team, you mentioned about Bishop Luers going forward, bring back a lot of pieces. Kennedy Filling done. Mackenzie Fuis is done. Vanelza Rossworm, she'll be back, right? She's only a sophomore?
Yep, she's back.
So when we look at the next step of Norwell, while they always seem to reload, but in terms of what they have to replace, it seems to be more than Bishop Luers.
Yeah, so yes and no to that. Yes, you have a lot to replace. One, you have the leading scorer in the history of your school in Kennedy Filling, which is not easy to accomplish in Norwell. You have Mackenzie Fuis, another 1,000-point scorer. Vanessa Rossworm is one of the best breakout performers. I mentioned that of Miley Warian of Luers this entire year to have her step up. So, yeah, there's a lot to replace. One, I can say Norwell always does it. Second, I can say that they had 2 middle school Northeast State Conference champion teams at 2 of the grade levels of middle school, and their JV team was 21-0. So I think Norwell is going to be just fine.
It should be all right. Dan, when we put a cap, I guess, on the girls' basketball season, anything that stands out to you from when we started the season to now crowning a champion locally, one winning a runner-up trophy, what kind of stands out to you over the course of this girls' basketball season?
I think it was a good, impactful season as a showcase for the state. When we talk about sustained success, one of the things that makes Indy so dominant is that those teams are always at a high level, but the Northeast Indiana area was in the conversation high on every state level. We had 2 teams in state finals. We had a state champion. We had the number 1 team in the state for a while with Columbia City. You have 2 potential, I don't want to say senior all-stars, but potential Miss Basketball candidates in Jordan Poole and Kennedy Filling. One of the best, I would assume, forthcoming junior all-stars in Addison Baxter from Columbia City. So, Northeast Indiana is so very much in the conversation as being the hotbed of girls high school basketball, and I think that's a huge thing.
Let's talk some boys basketball, Dan. We're approaching sectional semifinals coming up tomorrow night across the state. In terms of surprises earlier this week, I guess I would maybe look at Belmont getting beaten by Mississinewa on Tuesday in exciting fashion. Peru did the same thing with Norwell last night. Do you center on that Mississinewa sectional as maybe the most interesting sectional thus far in terms of the area teams?
Well, I do, and I also do that because Oak Hill also last night, their shot wasn't exactly at the buzzer, but their winning shot came with 1.4 seconds or something like that on the clock. So 3 essential buzzer beaters in 3 games out there makes that interesting. Our area teams are no longer in that now, obviously, with Norwell and Belmont losing in dramatic fashion. But so it's been the most interesting. I think in the area, though, we'll shift to 2A and that going the one at Bluffton, where we're going to see, Luers and Whitco and Adams Central and Blackhawk Christian play tomorrow night. 4 very good teams, I think, with equal chance of winning the sectional. And I don't think you ever see that in a semifinal, where I'm not shocked if any of these 4 teams win this sectional. So that's very dominant. And then I know you're going to talk to Coach Phil Brackmann. That sectional in 3A, an interesting one anyway, because the records were so similar, all near 500 records. But then you get Bishop Dwenger upset last night by Heritage in the early game, and in the night game, Leo looked as good and as crisp and possibly as scary as they've looked all season for 3 quarters against Woodland. If they put 4 complete quarters together with Nolan Heitschuh back in the lineup for them, that was tough. So, yeah, at Bluffton in 2A and at Woodland in 3A, I think are the most interesting.
When you look at 4A and zero in on East Noble, I think you look at win-loss records, you say Northside has the edge. But DeKalb with Marty Beasley, I mean, if you talk about coaches that kind of know how to coach against an up-tempo team, you look at Marty Beasley, you look at Chris Johnson as the guys that do it the best. So I think that's not a game that you can overlook. And I think Snyder, if they can get past a one-win Northrop team in the semis, that's a team that you don't really know what you're going to get night to night. They struggled down the stretch, 5 straight losses, but they took Blackhawk Christian to overtime. So at East Noble, I think it could be an entertaining couple of days.
Yeah, it really could. And obviously, it started entertaining earlier this week with Northside topping Carroll in overtime in a really good game. I think one of the benefits that Northside's going to have over a lot of these teams, and especially over where you look at a potential final. You have guys who've been playing varsity basketball for, 3 or 4 years in several instances, and that are very versatile in what they can do. And I think that's what's Northside's biggest advantage. I think that was, while Carroll didn't lack the experience, I think Northside's biggest point they could stand out against Carroll was, that depth with what they can do. And so if you look at a potential Northside finals matchup, I think that is what would benefit them, say, against like a Snyder, who's very good but very young with their key players. And I think that Northside just a little more dialed in right now.
Let's look one more last question for you, Dan. Look at the Homestead sectional. You have Wayne sitting there. We'll talk to Coach Brewer here in a little bit. You have Columbia City and Homestead in that second game coming up tomorrow night at Homestead. How do you expect that game to go? And I think people will look, well, this is Wayne's sectional to lose, but regardless if they play Columbia City or Homestead, I think it'd be a bigger challenge than maybe some people think for the Generals.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. We look at Homestead and that Columbia City matchup. Columbia City beat them fairly easily at Homestead during the regular season, but Homestead has a new factor back in the lineup with Will Jamison back. And he hasn't been back for long, but in his first game this sectional round, he scored 31 points. And so he's basically back in form. You don't see someone come back from the type – very rarely you see somebody come back in their senior year from the type of injury he had with his accident. You absolutely don't see them come back at peak. And Will Jamison waited, and he missed most of his senior season, but he actually waited till the right time. And I think could be a difference maker. Will definitely be a difference maker in planning if you're a team opposite Homestead, but really could make a difference in how the game plays, because with Will Jamison on the court, everything just flows better. We had him as our number 2 player in the area in the preseason. He just makes the game flow differently, and it makes Homestead a very different team and much more dangerous. They lost to Wayne with him back in the lineup, but it was his first game back in the lineup. Now he's 6 games back and scoring in the 30s, and I think that makes Homestead a much more dangerous contender than they had been all year.
Plenty of intrigue throughout the area in terms of sectional games coming up tomorrow night and Saturday as well. Dan, appreciate the insight as always. We'll catch up to you.
Yeah, sounds good.
That was Dan Vance, OutsideTheHuddle.net. You can see all of his musings at OutsideTheHuddle.net, covering area high school basketball and football as well. You can hear the Bluffton sectional, one of the sectionals that we talked about in terms of the foremost one we talked about in terms of intrigue. You can hear both of the semifinal games tomorrow night here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. Brett Rump on the call tomorrow for the semis. Blackhawk Christian Adams Central at 6, Bishop Luers Whitco at 7:30, and then the championship game coming up on Saturday night. That will be Derek Decker on the call from Bluffton High School. So a very, very up for grabs sectional with 4 really good teams. And as Dan said, wouldn't be surprised if any of those 4 left at Bluffton get the 2 dubs and win a sectional championship. So between that and we have high school hockey state finals coming up on Saturday morning and early afternoon. So plenty of high school coverage coming up Friday and Saturday here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. Going to come back and talk to Mark Pixley, an interview from earlier this week on the Sports Rush, talking about his team's state championship victory last Saturday in the Class 2A state championship game. Also, Phil Brackmann and Anthony Brewer to come between now and 7 o'clock. You're listening to the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Fieldhouse, 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Hoopie Insurance Services, now with over 40 years of helping to protect Fort Wayne families and businesses, operates by the golden rule. They always treat the client as they would want to be treated. They have options to find the best price for the best coverage, whether insuring your home, your property, your car, or even your small business. Hoopie Insurance Services, an independent agent representing great companies like Ohio Mutual Insurance Company, is the perfect place to find the specific coverage you want. They realize that small businesses often have unique needs, and they can tailor a policy that provides the coverage your business needs. And they work with some of the top insurance companies in the industry, like Ohio Mutual, to provide quality coverage with outstanding service. And if you ever need to file a claim, Hoopie Insurance Services is committed to serving Northeast Indiana with compassion and integrity, because you don't need your insurance company to add to an already stressful situation. Visit HUPE-insurance.com to learn more or call 486-7488. Hoopie Insurance, their family serving your family for almost 40 years.
Get the latest knife info from one of the country's premium knife shops, Blademan's Knife Shop at the shops of Scott Road. There's a reason customers drive hours just to shop at Blademan's in Fort Wayne.
Hi, this is Mark, the owner of Blademan's Knife Shop, and I'd like to personally invite you out to the store to see the area's best selection of quality knives. We have Benchmade, Spyderco, Microtech, ProTech, Hogue, Zero Tolerance, Medford Knife and Tool, ADV Tactical, Tour Knives, and many more. We also have a great selection of custom knives. At Blademan's, we specifically select top quality products for the best in customer satisfaction. There's a difference with top brands, and at Blademan's, we'll take the time to explain how materials and production results in a better knife for your needs, all in a relaxed, pressure-free, consultative environment. We update our online inventory daily, so you know you're ordering in-stock product that will be shipped within one business day. So check us out on BlademansKnifeShop.com or stop by the store in the shops at Scout Road and have a cup of coffee on me.
Be in the know and follow Blademan's on Facebook and Instagram today. 10% discount to police and military, and now you can see the collection of Shun knives, the finest in kitchen cutlery, available at Blademan's Knife Shop in the shops of Scott Road.
Now on My Deals Fort Wayne, you can get 3 certificates to Davy's Delicious Bagels for only $15. Specializing in steamed bagel sandwiches unlike anything else in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Davy's Delicious Bagels is a one-of-a-kind experience. They have breakfast sandwiches, sweet bagels, lunch specialties, and of course, more bagels than you could ever imagine. They even have delicious specialty coffees, teas, and more. Every weekend, Davy's will be open late for those midnight munchies. Head over to MyDealsFortWayne.com to purchase your deal.
There's no better time than now to ensure your home is comfortable all year round with Brackmann Heating and Air Conditioning, your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, a true family-owned company, now 4 generations strong. Since 1957, their experts have been keeping your home cozy all winter long, and I should know, as they've been Federated Media's HVAC provider for more than a decade. Plus, Brackmann Heating and Air was voted #1 in the Reader's Choice Awards. Brackmann Heating and Air Conditioning, your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. Brackmann's, on time, done right, or it's free.
Welcome back to the Hoopie Fieldhouse High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Stand up, little girl.
Of course, it was a great afternoon and an exciting evening, although it ended in disappointment with Norwell falling just short in the 3A game. But that was not the situation for Bishop Luers. They win another title. I believe it is their 7th in school history. And the Bishop Luers Knights took care of Brownstown Central coming from behind 44-36. And the winning coach for the Bishop Luers Knights joins us right now on the Sports Rush. It is Mark Pixley. And, Coach, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Just got done with our state championship pep rally, so feeling good right now.
Of course, hey, it's been a special year at Bishop Luers with the football state championship. Now you follow that up. You've got a girls basketball state championship at a small, very close school like Bishop Luers. Is that success kind of contagious? Does that carry over to the other athletic programs?
Yeah, they kind of call it the Luers spirit over there. And, we saw the football team do it, and our girls, set a goal at the beginning of the season while they were kind of going through that with the football team. And, they saw what the football team had done, and, we wanted to do what they did, and, we got the job done as well.
Every coach wants to see their team playing their best basketball when it turns to tournament time. And there'd been some disappointing nights for Bishop Luers basketball this year. And I'm sure you probably had times where you questioned, would this team get to that point by the time we get into February? What was the difference with this team? What were they able to put together to make the tournament run and ultimately win a state championship?
Just throughout the season, we played such a tough schedule. But I think when we beat Columbia City, I think they saw, and then they kind of knew that, if we play really well, we can beat anybody. But the biggest thing, once we started sectional play was just our depth. We were playing 9 girls during our sectional run, and, we just sub them in, sub them out, and our depth just wore teams down. I think 3 of our opponents, we'd come out to warm up at halftime, and they were just sitting on the bench because they were tired of dealing with how we play and our size, too, for a 2A school.
Let's talk about the halftime speech, because whatever you said obviously worked, but down 24-15 at the half, but just come out on fire in that third quarter and took control of this basketball game. What was the difference between the first half and what the girls were able to do in the second half?
I walked in halftime and, we weren't playing well, but we were only down 9. And I looked at our girls, and they had a kind of a calm feeling about them. And they knew if we just had to start playing our style. We wanted to press them. But, when you're not scoring in the second quarter, it's hard to do that. But we came out, I think, on a 5-0 run, got into our press, put Miley. She really doesn't play that position as our top person on our press a lot in the season. But, she came out and just caused all kinds of trouble for their guards.
And she was the standout in that second half. And tell me a little bit about her because, in some ways, I think she spent a great deal of this season perhaps in the shadow of players like Annika Davis and Addie Shank, but she's really made a name for herself throughout this season. She is such an important player and a contributor to the success of this team.
Yeah, she does, she can get the rebound, go coast to coast. She has a great, finger roll for transition for, her fast break points, but she's a low down low. And then it goes to show, too, the leadership Annika and Addie have, too, that, during this run, they're kind of letting Miley shine. And, that just goes to the teamwork and the character of our team.
So now that you got that state championship, after the game was over, who was the first person that you went to? Now, I know you probably had a couple of coaches trying to get hugs, but who was the first person that you went to once it kind of started to sink in that you were a state champion?
Mary Hathaway, she won one as a player. She's an assistant coach with me, and she's been there all 10 years with me. And, you start thinking about all our past players that didn't accomplish this and just the hard work that, we put in and the players put in, with past players that haven't won it with us. But this group was just special, throughout the whole year.
So what's the offseason going to be like now when you start to plan for next year? Does it change the perspective and the expectations of the program now that you've got one?
There's so much tradition there. It started with Gary Andrews, Terry, Denny, winning all those championships. So we always, when we play, we know we get the other team's best, just because a lot of coaches coached against those teams. But, we're just going to have to, reset and, start over and, set new goals. And, missing my 3 seniors, it'll be tough. But, we have a good group coming back.
Absolutely. Congratulations again, Coach. We're happy for you here in the 260. Always pleased to hear our local athletes getting the state championship, especially when it comes to basketball, and we can be there broadcasting it. We once again congratulate you, and thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Yep, thanks for all you do, too.
Thank you. That is Mark Pixley. He's the head coach of the Bishop Luers Knights.
Here's another remarkable success story from QC Kinetics. This one from Chad, who hurt his knee at the gym one day, and it just kept on hurting for months.
From my high school football and wrestling days, I already had a little bit of damage in there, but this just sent it over the edge.
Chad tried traditional treatments with no improvement when he turned to the non-surgical regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics.
It was really fascinating how they did their work, and the science behind it was very intriguing, and it works. Extracting the cure out of my own body blew my mind. It's like I'm brand new again. It was fantastic.
That's because the QC Kinetics natural biologic treatments use your body's own healing power to restore damaged tissue in your hips, shoulders, back, and knees, providing long-lasting relief.
Now I'm back at the gym. I'm 100% feeling great.
If you're tired of suffering with pain from arthritis or injury, call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 260-333-9383. That's 260-333-9383. 260-333-9383.
Over the past few years, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected how we live our daily lives. Today, we also face a mental health pandemic that threatens our well-being as we attempt to rebuild our social networks and communities.
The pandemic has reminded us to value family, community, and our human connections. However, it has also left many of us feeling more isolated, confused, and alone, struggling to find meaning amid loss and uncertainty.
Today, 1 in 5 Americans experience emotional and mental health challenges. But many of us do not understand what we are facing or know how to ask for help.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, we understand what you are going through, and we are here to help. Our vision is to build a mentally healthy nation for all. We work every day to eliminate stigma, combat mental illness, and love needs help. You are not alone. Please visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. These pills work for men and women to improve their sexual performance. And now for the price of 2 or 3 pills, you can get nearly 100. There's no need to pay expensive prices for Viagra or Cialis. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Change your life for the better and have fun. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Call 800-245-2751. 800-245-2751. 800-245-2751. That's 800-245-2751.
Get your Indy racing fix. It's New Track Record with Caleb Hatch and Justin Kenny. Listen Saturdays at 8 a.m. only on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Download the latest episode now on the 1380 The Fan app or at 1380thefan.com. This is the Hoopie Fieldhouse High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everybody, to the High School Coaches Show presented by Hoopie Fieldhouse. I'm Justin Kenny. We're here till 7 o'clock, and then we're back to National Fox Sports Radio tonight. No Pacers, no Purdue, no Purdue Fort Wayne, so nothing tonight, but plenty of basketball tomorrow night. Brett Rump will be at Bluffton High School for the sectional semifinals at Bluffton. He'll have both of those games tomorrow night. The Parkview Sports Medicine High School basketball postgame show live from the Pizza Hut will follow that. And then we'll have high school hockey state finals on Saturday, and then the championship game of the Bluffton sectional coming up on Saturday night. Another sectional in action this weekend. The Woodland sectional. Concordia gets the initial win over Garrett to advance. They'll play Angola on Friday night, the first game of 2 at Woodland. Head coach of the Cadets is Phil Brackmann. Joins us right now. Evening, Coach.
Hey, good. How are you, Justin?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Hey, good.
And sure, it was a good early part of the week and ended the season with 3 consecutive losses against 3 really good teams. Did that necessarily help you heading into the sectional game against Garrett? Is it too early to say? Is it not correlative between the two? I mean, how do you separate those, or can you find a direct attachment towards those 3 losses?
Yeah, I mean, you always want to be playing well down the stretch, and so when you're playing good teams, and you're competitive and you're in it. And, felt like we were all 3 of those down the stretch, being in those games, and battled some injuries and sicknesses down the road, and so we knew just getting healthy was huge over those last 3 weeks. So getting there, and lucky to get everybody kind of on the floor on Tuesday night, and hopefully everybody's ready to go for tomorrow.
It was a big win on Tuesday night and a big night for Cole Hayworth with 39 points against Garrett. A little about him, because he was big time for you on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, Cole's just so dynamic in how he plays, and knew that kind of from the beginning as a sophomore. He came in and had some guys ahead of him that had been around, but you knew right from the start just his physicality and his toughness, and kind of inserted himself into the starting lineup as a sophomore there, and then just grew his game. Knew he wanted to play at the next level, so he worked hard at it, and went from just being able to finish inside to then going off the dribble and shooting the basketball, and he was able to put all that on display, and things were clicking for him on Tuesday night. So we just kept getting him as many touches as we could, and guys played through him, and it was good.
Is it tough for teams with his size, or at least height, to match up with his versatility?
I think so. I mean, I not sure how I would guard him if I was, an opponent there. Of, do you try to put somebody bigger on him? Do you try to put somebody smaller? And he's able to take guys to the perimeter, and he's able to take guys inside. And so, you really hope you have somebody that is just the right size and quickness to be able to match up with him.
Cole Hayworth's a senior. Max Adair is a senior. Ben Bence is a senior. Both of those players, Bence and Adair, have been big for you as well. Now, how important has their play been, and how important this time of year is just senior leadership? And you have a lot of seniors you kind of lean on.
Yeah. I think Max Adair is kind of the unsung hero of the group as far as just, what he brings for us across the board. His defense, his hustle, his intangibles. He's on the verge of setting the school record for field goal percentage in the year at 73%. He just does all the right things. He doesn't force things, and the guys trust him. They just know that they can get him the basketball and he'll finish, or they give him the ball and he'll find the open guy. And so that's been great. And then, like you said, Ben and the whole slew of 9 seniors that we have, they just know that they want to play hard and they want to keep playing, and that's what you want here in tournament time.
Do you approach a season, and maybe over the course of the season, differently with the fact that you have so many upperclassmen, so many seniors? So when you go through swoons like you did at the turn of the calendar year around Christmas time, and you went through that 3-game losing streak, losing 4 or 5 down the stretch, do you not panic as much maybe because you have that veteran group that you say, okay, this isn't as big a deal as maybe if you had a lot of freshmen, sophomores, juniors out there?
Yeah, no, it's a good group that just plays hard and just knows that, okay, we're going to be in games, whether the ball bounces our way that night, just yet to be determined. But with how they play, we want to make sure we stop teams and we defend hard and keep us in the game that way. And we've found games where we've won some close ones, and we found some games where we haven't been able to win, and we found some that we've been down big and fought our way back. So, when it comes to tournament, you got to be ready for kind of all those scenarios, and I think that just helped us throughout the season this year.
Coach Phil Brackmann, Concordia Cadets, joining us here in the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopie Fieldhouse. Coach, you get Angola in the early semifinal tomorrow. It's a team that you guys played at the beginning of this month, a 20-point win on the road. How much do you take out of that regular season matchup and take it into tomorrow? Do you completely cancel that out, not talk about it? How much do you take from that first matchup into tomorrow?
There's always things that we can learn, and so that's what we talked about this week. And all right, where can we get better? What were some things that we did well that we got to continue to do? But Coach Alton's a good coach, and he's going to have those guys prepared and ready to go, and they'll be ready to key on things that we like to do, and that's where we just got to then be able to have some in-game strategy and go to the second, third, fourth options of things and find out what's working tomorrow night.
Coach, final question before I let you go. I could have sworn that Concordia got a new head coach when I first saw you this year. The beard game is strong. Where did it come from? Is it approved by the family, and was it difficult to get to this point?
The length for sure. That was kind of kept it nice and tight last year through the season, and then just kind of decided, all right, we needed to change it up a little bit. So, there's more to come with that, hopefully. But I think so far it's been good. The wife has finally kind of come on board as far as the length, and as long as I keep it trimmed a little bit, so I can't just let it go complete wild man. So. Yeah, that was my question. Is it family approved? It sounds like it took a little bit. Yeah, it took a little bit, but my kids are getting there. I still don't like me kissing them all because they said it's just gross that way. Or this is with my kids, but we'll get them over that. So.
All right, buddy. Hey, appreciate the time. Thanks a lot. Congratulations on the win earlier this week, but more work to do. I'm sure you told your guys that. So good luck tomorrow night and through the weekend, bud.
Hey, appreciate it, Justin. Thanks for all you do for high school sports.
Yes, sir. That was Phil Brackmann, head coach of the Concordia Lutheran Cadets, his team, sitting at 12-12 this season. And when you look at this team overall, Coach mentioned it, 8, 9 seniors in this group, and you go through an up and down season like Concordia has. At one point, had lost 4 straight games just after Christmas into the new year. A couple of those had come at the Delta tournament, what they went to. Then all 3 of them, I think, came at Delta. And so, 2 of them came at Delta, and then at Luers they lost, and then against Blackhawk Christian lost a 3-point game. So it was 4 straight losses. They come back and beat Leo, a potential opponent coming up on Saturday if both teams can win tomorrow night. And then it was just a back and forth. So you look at a 3-point loss to South Bend St. Joe's earlier in the year. You look at that 3-point loss to Blackhawk Christian, 5-point loss to Snyder, 6-point loss to Northside, 7-point loss to Homestead. You drop by 5 to Norwell, 6 to Columbia City. You're close, right? But what's similar to what all of those teams, or at least the majority that I named, is none of them in your sectional, okay? None of them in 3A. You get Blackhawk Christian and Bishop Luers are in 2A. Everybody else is up in 4A. Okay, Norwell's really the only team that's a 3A team, and they're not in your sectional. So you learn from those games, and if it doesn't tear you down, which it shouldn't because it's a veteran team, and that was kind of my question on you can take your lumps a little bit with a experienced squad because they're not going to get down on themselves as much as maybe a younger group would. And the same thing with losing 3 straight games and 4 of 5 down the stretch is with a senior-laden group, you can turn the page. And the urgency is on those guys because this is it. You lose, and your high school career is over. And don't discount the impact of that on teams this time of the year, particularly in a sectional where there's no clear-cut favorite. As you look at that veteran group, and they're playing for their lives. They're playing for their high school careers. The urgency is just natural when you know this is the end. And maybe that's what pushes Concordia over the top against Angola and against either Heritage or Leo in the Woodland sectional. This team, Concordia, has not won a sectional title since they advanced to the state championship game in 2013. That group with DJ McCall and Thomas Starks and Brian Grimeau that had such a great year with Coach Eggold, Josh Eggold, whose son Sam is on this year's team. So, it just seems like yesterday that team was getting to the state championship, lost by 3 to Greensburg, I believe, and just a really talented group. That's the last time the Concordia Lutheran Cadets have won a sectional championship. Can they do it this weekend at Woodland? They are a third of the way there. They'll have to knock off Angola and either Heritage or Leo Saturday night, 7 o'clock tip in the championship to do it. We're going to take a break, come back. We'll stay in the SAC, but we're going to talk some Wayne Generals basketball. Talk about the defending SAC champions, 2-time defending champions, as they compete in the Homestead sectional with New Haven coming up tomorrow, and then maybe a rematch with Homestead coming up, or Columbia City. We'll talk to Coach Anthony Brewer of the Generals after this. You're listening to the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopie Fieldhouse, 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
If you've been channeling your sales strengths into a job that doesn't appreciate your potential, we understand. Brace yourself for an opportunity that might just surprise you at 1380 The Fan. We're in search of an exceptional account executive to join our dynamic team. It's not just a job, it's a marketing career where you'll shape solutions for local businesses, driving their success while building your own. Experience the best of both worlds with our mix of in-person and remote work, offering the flexibility you crave. Our investment in your success begins now. Text WINNER to 46862 and take our free talent assessment. Discover if you have what it takes to be our star account executive. We'll send you a free copy of your talent report. Text WINNER, WINNER, to 46862 and kickstart your journey to a new career home. 1380 The Fan is proudly part of Federated Media, an equal opportunity employer that values integrity, passion, and innovation. Embrace a new job for a new year with us.
There's no better time than now to ensure your home is comfortable all year round with Brackmann Heating and Air Conditioning, your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, a true family-owned company, now 4 generations strong. Since 1957, their experts have been keeping your home cozy all winter long, and I should know, as they've been Federated Media's HVAC Choice Awards. Brackmann Heating and Air Conditioning, your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. Brackmann's on time, done right, or it's free.
Now on My Deals Fort Wayne, get 4 admissions to the Botanical Conservatory for the price of 2. This is an experience your whole family can appreciate. The Botanical Conservatory is a unique oasis in the heart of downtown Fort Wayne and a public garden that offers a true sanctuary for tranquility, learning, and beauty. The conservatory is a regional facility dedicated to providing inspiration, education, and entertainment for our community. Head over to MyDealsFortWayne.com to purchase your deal.
Every child deserves the best teachers, facilities, and academic programs to set them up for success both now and in the future. At Milton Hershey School in Hershey, Pennsylvania, we make that a reality for children from qualifying families who are looking for greater opportunities. Milton Hershey School enrolls students from pre-K through 12th grade from across the United States to live and learn on a beautiful state-of-the-art campus with all costs covered. Students who are accepted to Milton Hershey School have access to a top-tier education, along with health care, meals, housing, and fully funded career pathways to pursue whatever they're passionate about, from performing arts to internships to coding. Students can even accrue up to $95,000 to continue their education after high school, thanks to the generosity of chocolatier Milton Hershey and his wife, Catherine. Are you looking to set your child up for success or know a child who could benefit from Milton Hershey School? Learn more at mhskids.org/admissions.
Over the past few years, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected how we live our daily lives. Today, we also face a mental health pandemic that threatens our well-being as we attempt to rebuild our social networks and communities.
The pandemic has reminded us to value family, community, and our human connections. However, it has also left many of us feeling more isolated, confused, and alone, struggling to find meaning amid loss and uncertainty.
Today, 1 in 5 Americans experience emotional and mental health challenges. But many of us do not understand what we are facing or know how to ask for help.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, we understand what you are going through, and we are here to help. Our vision is to build a mentally healthy nation for all. We work every day to eliminate stigma, combat mental illness and substance use disorders, and advance mental health. If you or someone you love needs help, you are not alone. Please visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
Co-Heating and Air Conditioning, your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, one family owned and still going strong for 60 years. Decade after decade, Co-Heating and Air has been known for providing quality heating and cooling services that ensure your family stays comfortable year-round. That's no accident. That's a legacy of customer care, excellence, and relationships that have endured from generation to generation. Go with who you know. Go with Co. Proud to be your American Standard dealer. Find them at coheatcool.com today.
Right now on My Deals Fort Wayne, enjoy 1 hour of axe throwing for 2 for only $45. Deadeye Dick's Axe Throwing is a full-size indoor axe throwing arena. The approximately 4,000 square foot Bullseye Bar, where they also carry wine slushes, as well as a huge selection of your favorite craft, IPA, cider, and domestic beers. Get your deal today on MyDealsFortWayne.com and come throw with the experts.
You're listening to the Hoopie Fieldhouse High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everybody, to the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopie Fieldhouse. I'm Justin Kenny. Coming up tomorrow night, it'll be semifinals of the Bluffton Sectional. You can hear it here, 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. Blackhawk Christian, Adams Central, followed by Whitco and Bishop Luers. Coming up tomorrow, we'll also have the sectional championship game from Bluffton on Saturday evening. Meanwhile, over at Homestead High School, it'll be the Wayne Generals competing in the sectional semifinal tomorrow night against Homestead. Head coach of the Generals, Coach Anthony Brewer. Evening, Coach.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, and congratulations on the win earlier this week. And take us through that game. It was a team in Southside you played pretty recently, just a couple weeks ago, And it's always with Southside that you can't look at the records, all that stuff. Like, it's a very dangerous team if you don't respect them, and you guys were able to take care of business on Tuesday.
Absolutely. Our kids know each other. They all have been playing ball together or against each other for, since elementary school. And it's a conference battle, so, we knew we had to throw the records out the window. But I thought Southside played really well. They executed the offense that they wanted to execute. They got the shots that they wanted to get. I felt like our guys really, really turned up the pressure in the second half, and fortunately we were able to open up a lead and get that victory.
And Coach, when you look at this team, and it was a unique situation from the jump because Coach Pickens moves down to Indianapolis, you have to step in. And first off, how was that transition? It was good because you were on staff, but what was it expected? How much advance notice did you have? So take us through that sequence and just what you had to deal with as you ascended to the head coaching position.
It definitely, I didn't know anything. I know that Coach Pickens was, pulling for me to get the job. We had great chemistry for the previous 4 years. He knows how much I love the fellas. He knows how much time I've spent with them in the gym for our practices and for player development throughout the summer. But it wasn't, Wayne had to weigh their options. They'd be kind of crazy if they didn't at least, see what kind of interest people had in the job. But fortunately, they chose me, and we're gonna make the most of it.
How important was it for your group of guys to have somebody that they knew kind of stepping into that role?
It was a big weight off their shoulders. Losing a coach like Byron Pickens, it hurt. It hurt them. But the fact that, they got a coach that they knew, a coach that understands who they are, that kind of eased the blow a little bit. And, we've done nothing but grow together as a unit this whole season.
Coach Byron Pickens, used to be Coach Byron Pickens at Wayne, Coach Anthony Brewer with the Wayne Generals. How was it a delicate balance for you because you come in and take over a veteran team and had a lot of accomplishments and success last year. You want to put your mark on it, but you also be like, I don't want to rock the boat either. So it had to be, kind of coming in, okay, I'm going to tread lightly here. Don't want to change too much, but at the same time, you want to put your own mark on this thing.
Absolutely. And the fellas trusted me from jump. Like I said previously, we have spent an innumerable amount of hours together in the gym, just working on their game. So the trust was already there. And I knew that I did not want to change anything as far as, as far as our chemistry goes. But I knew I had to kind of put my mark on, the offense and the defense. And the fellas, they're a veteran group, so we trust each other, so they gave me their input. They still give me their input, even when we're putting, new wrinkles into the offense and the defense. And that, for a first-year coach, you couldn't ask for a better situation than working with guys who know how to win. They know how to work hard. They're just gym rat kids. And they've definitely made my transition from assistant to head coach much more smooth than I could imagine.
And when you have a leader on the floor like Javon Lewis, it has to help. For people that really haven't seen much of Javon Lewis, what are they missing in terms of not seeing him on the floor?
They're missing the best point guard in the state of Indiana. They're missing about 20 points a game, roughly 8 assists, and the young fella has the heart of a lion. He is a ferocious competitor. He's an excellent student. He's much see Fort Wayne basketball.
Coach Anthony Brewer of the Wayne Generals joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. Coach, it's rare that you see a group kind of stay together. We know how Fort Wayne works, and people ebbs and flows, and kids go here or there. Particularly that junior class for you that has stuck together and came up together. And we talk about Javon Lewis, but that junior group that came up, started as freshmen and sophomores, juniors. How important is that group, and how important has it been that core group stay together over the years?
It's been invaluable. I mean, with Chase Barnes, the professionalism and the work ethic that he brings, along with H.J. Dillard, we call him Big Trey. He is, I know I'm biased, but I feel like he's one of the most dominant bigs north of Noblesville. And then adding a Preston Comer who didn't play for Luers, but as soon as he came over to Wayne, he's been just a model student athlete. He runs track, he runs cross country, and he excels with us at basketball. He could probably compete in college in all three sports. Fortunately for us, he puts basketball at the top of that list. And having, a player like Kalen Williams-Thomas move in and kind of solidify that group, that junior group, it has been awesome. Kalen is, in my opinion, he's one of the most exciting players to watch in Northeast Indiana with the basketball in his hands. But yeah, that is just a special class, and I'm blessed to be able to teach them the game.
Coach, in terms of preparing for New Haven coming up and tomorrow, and New Haven, we looked at this team throughout the season and say they're better than their record indicates, and they won 4 straight games down the stretch, including a win over Bishop Luers by double digits. So what do your kids need to be prepared for to take on the Bulldogs tomorrow?
Obviously, we need to be able to contain Johnny Washington. He is a special young ball player with the ball in his hands. Jeremiah Contrell, I believe he just got his career high against Luers, as you mentioned. He's a problem around the rim. They have Hardy, who is just a marvelous athlete. I believe he's going to Purdue, walking on at Purdue, play a little tight end. So, I mean, they have players everywhere. The freshman point guard, Baskerville, he does exactly what you would want a freshman point guard to do. You know what I mean? Bring the ball up, keep control, don't turn it over, and get it to a Johnny. You know what I mean? He just does great. He does great work over there. And I respectfully, I know I'm forgetting a couple guys that they're shooting out of their minds right now. We know that we have to prepare for a heavyweight battle tomorrow.
All right, Coach. Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for the time. I mean, you've been an institution around here for a long time, and to see you at the helm and having a lot of success with a good group at Wayne, it's pretty cool to see, man. So appreciate the time, and good luck the next couple of days trying to bring home a second straight sectional.
Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate you having me on the show to talk some Wayne basketball.
Absolutely. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
That was Coach Anthony Brewer of the Wayne Generals. And, yeah, it was a unique situation for Coach Brewer because Byron Pickens, he grew this program into what it was and what it is. He made a concerted decision a couple years ago to say, you know what, we're going to go young. I'm going to throw these freshmen and sophomores out there, and we're going to take our lumps. And 2 years ago, we're going to win 4 games. And then last year, they win 21 and win sectional and regional championships. And so when Coach Pick, when he moves to Indianapolis, it kind of leaves that door open, go, oh, my gosh, who's going to take over this program? I mean, Wayne did their due diligence, but you have to come around to a guy that's been on staff, that's going to keep this team together, that's going to keep the thing going forward, that knows these guys, because they have a chance to do something pretty special. And they've done it, second straight SAC championship. They can win 2 more games this weekend, second straight sectional championship for the Generals. I mean, this isn't a team, this isn't a program that's laden with postseason accolades. They've only won 5 sectional championships in their entire existence, dating back to the 70s. Last year was only their second regional championship in school history, so it's really cool to see with what the Wayne Generals are doing. All right, that's it for us. Thanks to Coach Brewer. Thanks to Phil Brackmann, Concordia Cadets. Thanks to Mark Pixley, and thanks to Dan Vance from OutsideTheHuddle.net. We'll be back next Thursday. This has been the High School Coaches Show, presented by Hoopie Fieldhouse, 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Podcasts by Federated Media.